Hello, hello, everyone. So it's 4 o'clock in Lisbon, and here we are with our Ladies Who Talk stream. This is the space where we meet with our amazing members of our community and we ask them about their professional journey, about their professional wisdom. And we spend this half an hour with an inspiring person and getting to know each other a little bit better as well. So today I have here Karina Klaus, one of our long-standing members and an amazing person and a very interesting personality. So, we will be talking today about psychology of sales, but not only, of course. Karina is psychologist and sales confidence coach, which is a very interesting combination. And she also had quite some story with the career shifts and general geographic shifts and everything. So this is what we really, really like to see how life can be different, how life can go in different directions. So let's talk about this today. So Karina, welcome and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this introduction. I'm flattered.
That's true, 100%. So let's talk about your story, about your professional story. How did you go from psychologist? Then there was a recruitment phase, a big one, an important
Mhm.
one, and now sales, helping women with sales. Let's hear it all.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, I did study psychology back in the day when I was still young, so quite a few
You
years
are
ago.
young.
Okay, let's put it that way. In 2009, I started my psychology studies, and that to me was always the most interesting of all. I'm just fascinated with the human psychology, and I always wanted to become a psychotherapist. But honestly, the professors at our university kind of talked us out of it. Like at the end of the bachelor's degree, we had like career days, and then we talked to the different professors and the different professions of people who had studied psychology. And I was talking to a few psychotherapists, and they all told me, you want to think about it if you want to do it or not. And I felt so disillusioned, to be honest. So they talked a lot about how that was in the Netherlands, but also in Germany, how the system is making your life very, very hard when you're a psychotherapist because of the health insurance. You cannot really help people the way you want to because the insurances don't pay for it. And I was just so disillusioned because I really wanted to help people with all the knowledge I had gained, right? And then they kind of talked me into, yeah, go into corporate. You'll be happier in corporate. So I thought, okay, I was young, so I thought, okay, then I'll go to corporate. And this is how my recruiting phase started. And I have to admit, it was a lot of fun. But later I realized what was most fun for me with that was the job interviews, because to me, every interview was a little bit of a coaching session. So I just turned that around. And I did that for 10 years? Was it 10, 11, 12 years by now? I'm still doing that a little bit because it's still a lot of fun for selected projects. But over time, I just noticed that people were asking me more and more questions about, how did you start your own business? How did you, I moved from Germany to Portugal. How did you move to Portugal? How did you make all these changes? So I feel like even though we had a job interview, people asked me different questions. It seemed like they were more interested in their inner shift than in the actual job sometimes. And I noticed more and more that there is so much comparable between the psychology of the people and the job interview and the career shifts. And it just seemed like the natural transition back to what I initially wanted, right? I initially wanted to be a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychotherapist, I'm a psychologist, a little bit of a difference, but I have all kinds of trainings to really help people like I initially wanted. And I have to say, I'm not nearly as disillusioned as our professors told me I would be.
Oh, that's very cool. So, recruitment, you worked in corporate first,
Yes,
but then you built your own practice,
that's very
didn't you?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. How did this happen?
Well, I started in corporate, very true. And during COVID was a big, big shift for me, as for probably many, many people. I consider myself very, very lucky because during COVID, I was living alone. I had no one to worry about really, and I just felt really free during that time because my company furloughed me. And for about 1.5 years, I was still being paid, but I didn't have to work. I wasn't allowed to work. I had to hand in my laptop. So for 1.5 years, I really had the financial stability because I was still being paid, but finally I had time to really think. I mean, that what a luxury, huh? So I
Yeah.
consider myself very, very lucky during that time that I could really just take the space to think about what is it that you truly want. Because I like to call that my little quarter life crisis, because I felt I was unhappy in my relationship back then. I was unhappy with the place where I lived. I was unhappy with my job, and I just wanted to be free. I wanted to travel. And that year, I actually hiked the Camino de Santiago, the year before
Mm.
COVID. And I thought, how do people hike the whole trail? Because it takes 6, 7, 8 weeks, depending on how fast you are. And I could take 2 because I couldn't take longer off of my job. And I just was so frustrated. I was thinking, how do people do that? And I asked them, and they all said, oh, I'm self-employed. It's like, ooh, tell me more. And that's when the idea started of being, maybe I want to have my own business. I wanted to have an online business so I could hike the whole Camino and then maybe stay in a city. I always wanted to stay, and because I mean that time, because the Camino was in Spain, I was thinking about all the Spanish cities I wanted to be in, and just maybe stay for a few weeks and just work from there and see what happens. And that was always the dream, or not always, but since I hiked the Camino, that was the dream. And then during COVID, I had time to actually work on it. I had the resource to actually work on it. And that's how that idea started. Yeah.
Did you hike the whole Camino in the end, or it's still in the future?
Twice by now.
The whole thing?
I would do it again tomorrow. Oh my God, I love it so much.
Wow, this is incredible. So how long did it take?
Well,
6 weeks or?
funny enough, the first time I hiked it was actually during COVID. It was very interesting, but it was perfect because I hiked the Camino Francés, which is the most popular one. But because it was COVID, they would only allow a few people on the trail, so it was really not crowded. It was perfect. It was only just 2 or 3 people per room, which is normally for 12. So it was really a
Mm,
luxury kind of trail, and it took me, I think 6 or 7 weeks. I would
wow.
go again tomorrow. Seriously, it's just, to me, hiking these trails is just meditation. So you don't
Wow.
have to worry about anything, especially the Camino. There are yellow arrows everywhere. You don't have to have a map. You don't have to worry about anything. You just have to see the signs. It's really cool. I can only recommend it.
Oh yeah, this is so inspiring when something big starts from the dream about the adventure.
Yeah.
I really think that it's a very honest and authentic way to do your business or start your project or whatever when there is a big dream, adventurous dream waiting around the corner. I
Yeah.
kind of have this similar story I will tell you one day when we
Okay,
have a
cool.
cup of
Can't
coffee.
wait.
Yes, it's very interesting. So you worked in recruitment and you built a practice, a pretty successful one as far as I remember. What happened then? Now you are a sales confidence coach. This is
Mhm.
something different from recruiting.
You would think so, but honestly, I believe that recruiting and sales are pretty much the same thing. Because as a recruiter, I also sell something, right? I sell the company culture. So for me as a recruiter, it's always the company that is my product. So I talk to a candidate because in recruiting, as a recruiter, you don't get hired for the easy jobs, right? You get hired for the jobs that the company cannot fill by themselves. So you usually have to reach, it's more headhunting. You reach out to the candidates, the candidates you want to be candidates, and you kind of have to sell your first conversation. Hey, please hop on a call with me. I promise it's going to be fun. And then you really sell that job to them. You sell that company to them. So to me, honestly, recruiting and sales are very, very similar. Talking of cold outreach, you won't believe how many messages you have to send to people to talk to you, even though you're not really selling anything, as they don't have to pay for it. But I mean, a new job is also quite a big shift in their lives. So honestly, I feel that recruiting and sales are very, very similar. But how that worked for me, like that shift for me was during COVID. As we said, I was finally able to start my own practice. And during COVID, also recruiting was a very popular job. For some reason, many, many people were hiring. So I was always fully booked, and it was just very easy for me to get new clients. So I was growing quickly. I was hiring people to work with me, so it could grow quickly, and it was a lot of fun. But then after a while, in the beginning, I started this because I thought, I want to be able to travel. I want to make more money. And then, having my own business. I don't, I can be my own boss. So the typical things you start with. But after I had that for 3 or 4 years, I was like, okay, it's fun. I mean, I was able to move from cold Germany to warm Portugal. But I noticed that it was really very much of a head business because I knew how to do recruiting. I felt very competent, and that definitely helped, right? To be competent at what you do. But I noticed like my heart wasn't in it anymore. Not as much as it should have been to really be a whole body yes business, right? So I noticed it was really only a head business. And after a while, I was always, I was asking myself, why am I not happy? I get to live in Portugal. I get to, be my own boss. I'm making enough money to finance all of this. Why am I not happy? Why am I not satisfied? And I realized, well, my heart's not in it. My gut's not in it. Something's missing. And then I noticed more and more, Karina, back in the day, remember, you wanted to be a psychologist. You wanted to be a coach. You wanted to help people. And yes, you get thank you messages from candidates that say, oh, thank you so much. I got the job. That's so cool. But when you are a coach and you help someone really with something deeper and you receive a thank you message that way, goosebumps. That to me is always a goosebump moment for really feeling like, oh my God, I'm so happy I could help you and I could guide you on your journey. And then I have been coaching always, career coaching, and I have been coaching, but never really as a business. It was always more at the side, so I always had clients, but it was just for the fun of it. And then realizing that's where my heart is. That's what gives me the goosebumps. That's where I feel like, that's a whole body yes. That's where everything of me is in it, and everything of me feels like that lights me up. And that's why I felt like, okay, I have to make the shift, also business-wise, right? And that's how that journey started. And it's an interesting one, I can tell you.
Yeah, I remember we were talking one day and you said that it's like starting again.
Yeah.
Although you have all this experience with your own practice, but it's starting again and again and learning many new things, like how to build a website, right? Or how to sell a course, or things like that. We will talk about this in a minute. I just wanted to point out that to our listeners and to whoever is watching us right now, feel free to use our live chat. You can post comments, just support us, thumbs up, hearts, whatever, and also ask questions. And I will pass them to Karina and she will answer them as well. So feel free to use the chat. So you decided to start a new journey again.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easy? Because it was a full body yes, right? It should have been easy.
You would assume so. I thought so in the beginning. But it was not easy, I have to tell you. And it's to me, and I feel like no one talks about that, because you can start you can have your first business, and that's so much more successful than you thought was possible, right? And you feel like you know what you're doing, you feel competent, and you feel like, yeah, I know how to do this. But then you start this new thing, and all of a sudden, what I always noticed was, oh my God, I'm a baby. In this new business, I'm a baby, because it's a completely different business model. I was so very used to corporate clients. I can easily have contract negotiations with CEOs of big companies. I'm like, fine, no worries about that at all. But then all of a sudden it's about, okay, outline an online course. I'm like, there's so much knowledge. How can I break it down to this one tiny thing? And all of a sudden you find yourself overthinking. You find yourself thinking, oh, is that even the right topic? Should it be a little bit different? Should I go this way? Should I go that way? And believe it or not, it took me a whole year of transition to even start the official topic of what I'm doing, because I found it so hard to nail it down to, okay, it's going to be about sales, because I felt, oh, but sales is only such a small part of this. But I noticed that was a topic that most women were struggling with, because in the first year I talked to so many women and I asked them, hey, what is it that you are struggling with in your own business? Because I knew I wanted to work with women starting their own business. And seriously, all of them told me, Karina, I hate selling. My life would be so much easier if I just sold courses, or sold my service. And that's when I realized, okay, I have to get into that. But nailing that down, you would not believe how many my partner had to listen to me cry many times. I
Oh
was like, I
no.
don't know, and this is so strange because in my other business I'm so competent. How come that all of a sudden I don't know anything? So that's a real journey and an amazing one, because I feel like every single step I took on that change, like I learned so much. And it's so cool because my partner always said, are you realizing that everything you're learning just now is exactly what your future clients need to hear? So it's so cool that you get to learn this. And I felt, yeah, it's like I can appreciate that, but it's also really annoying when you're in it, huh?
Yeah, this is a cool note. Actually, you are right that not everyone is talking about this, although many people are going through that
Yeah.
for sure. How come women? Why did you know from the beginning it was women?
For many reasons. I feel like I can, as I am a woman, I feel like I can connect to women better. I have also had male coaching clients, or but I felt like it was a little bit different. I felt it was different, and I felt I could connect better. I could relate better, and especially when I had groups in the coaching, it always felt like it's a different atmosphere. I mean, we're also ladies who talk, right? It's just different when it's just us. It's a different vibe. But I also noticed that when it comes to sales, it's a lot more women struggling with it than men.
Why? Why is it?
Well, I guess that's a multi-layered topic, but
Yeah, for another hour.
yeah, I could talk about that for quite some time. I think the easiest, the most simple answer I can come up with is socialization. I feel that women are just socialized. I mean, especially in the Western cultures, um, women are just socialized to be cute and quiet, humble. Don't be too loud. Don't stand out. And I feel like also when men are being competitive and assertive, they're seen as competent, while when women are competitive and assertive, they're seen as difficult. I don't know
Yeah.
how you see it. You seem to.
No, I really, yeah, I
Yeah.
really truly see it as well. Although I just long time ago, I was like, I don't care. That's who I am. What can I
Yeah.
do about it? I'm a good person. That's the most important thing. But how
Oh,
I
yes.
communicate with people, that's who I am.
100%,
Mhm.
100%. And
Mhm.
also, what does selling even mean? Huh? I mean,
Yeah,
we always talk about, selling without selling, because I feel that the way we're being taught sales is very masculine. And maybe that's amazing for the masculine energies, but I feel like for women, they're a lot softer. They're a lot more about connection. And when
exactly.
you are more about, you're more attuned, like as a woman, and obviously this is all in general, right? Obviously it's also, there are men who are the same way, there are women who are, so it's but let's generalize it a little bit. And I feel that the female energy is a lot more attuned to emotions, and I feel like the whole sales process is a lot more. It's a lot more about, hey, do I like your vibe? Do we connect on that certain level? And then I honestly don't really care so much about the structure of whatever you're selling me, because I know I want to work with you, and the rest I
Yeah,
know we'll figure it out, right? So it's a little bit different here, and I feel that there are so many amazing women out there, and just in our ladies who talk meetings, they're all over the place, right? There's so many amazing women out there, and there's so many of them who want to have their own business, or who have something really cool, like a service, a product that they want to sell. And imagine if we could empower them all to, like you said, to be okay with who they are and to just share what they can share. That to me feels like this is how we make the world a little bit of a better place, because then they can go on and help so many other people, and they can go on, and it's just like this effect of, this ripple effect. And this is what I tell myself is why this is a whole body yes, because it just feels like, yeah, this is so much better than you got the job, even though that's cool
yeah.
too, right? But this to me feels like it has more impact overall.
Oh yeah, this is so true. I hear so many times during our events like brunches or meetups, the people are saying, I have this amazing product, and their eyes are full of light and these sparks and everything. And then they say, oh, but I hate selling them. I don't want to sell. I just hate it. And then it's becoming so sad that
Yeah.
not so many people will learn about this product because
Yeah.
you hate selling, and everyone understands something unique and personal under
Yeah.
selling.
100%.
So Yeah.
And isn't that interesting how you have someone who talks about their product, who talks about their service, and as you said, their eyes are sparkling, they're lighting up, and then they just switch into the sales mode, and their energy shrinks to the size of a grape.
Yeah.
And it does not have anything to do with them not liking their product or with them not being confident in their own product. It's just
Yeah.
a simple shift, but it's as you said, it's sad to see, but it's also good that it's a skill that you can learn. Huh?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And also, when you said selling without selling, this is
Mm.
the concept that I really like. And that's why I built this community, basically, because I feel that when people don't sell and they are relaxed, they are just telling their story. They're just telling what product they are building right now. They are not selling. They are not here to show the presentation with the price and everything. But there were so many sales
Yeah.
happening during those meetings when you're just relaxed, you're just telling your story.
Yeah.
Selling without selling, this is my favorite concept.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
So cool. So, what are the techniques that you like the most that help
Mhm.
you, your clients, overcome the resistance, women that you meet on your way? What techniques do you recommend, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I work a lot. I'm as a psychologist naturally. I'm always drawn to. I don't teach sales techniques. I always just teach the psychological techniques behind it because I truly believe that if you have the confidence, if you, and it's not only about confidence, but if you just, as you said, if you just talk about yourself, if you just share what you love about your product, then you can very much sell just with your energy. And I believe that when you have this figured out for yourself, when you are really selling with your energy, it doesn't matter which strategy you use because any strategy can work for you if you really just start playing. So what I work with is very much the psychology behind it. It's always, and you just talked about it, about the resistance, right? Because most people, they talk about their product and they love it, but as soon as they switch into sales mode, they shrink to the size of a grape. Why is that? Is it that all of a sudden their project is not so good anymore? No, it's because their subconscious mind tells them that we cannot be selling, we cannot be too loud, we cannot be too assertive, we cannot manipulate people. We don't want to manipulate people, so they have all kinds of
Oh,
stories
this
going on.
this story about manipulation is one
Yeah,
of the most common things that I hear about sales. I don't
yeah,
want to sell. I don't want these manipulations, you know. And who said that
exactly.
it's the same thing? It's not the same thing. You
It's
don't
all
need to.
lies.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. And sure, there are people who sell this way, but it doesn't have to be us. And people still buy from you, and people will buy from you even more and even more happily if you do not manipulate them. Because the cool thing is, people love buying. You know, we all love buying, don't we? We go shopping and we love to buy this, we love to buy that. It's so much fun. We just don't want to be sold. Have you ever noticed that? This feeling of, you're trying to get me. And then usually what happens is we feel like we have to protect ourselves because we feel like someone's trying to manipulate us. So that's why because we feel that way when someone tries to do that with us, that's why we obviously also feel like, I cannot be that way to someone else because I know what it feels like. But you probably have also bought something from someone who hasn't even tried to sell to you as you just described, right? So it's really very interesting that people, first of all, what I usually do with my clients is, first of all, we write down, or we become awareness, big game changer, of all the BS beliefs we have about sales. What does sales even mean, you know? And to me, it's not enough to just, some affirmations, for example. I believe they don't really work, to be honest, because if your subconscious mind is not into it, it will just tell you BS. It would call you out BS, you know? You can have a nice little post-it on your screen saying, selling is serving. It might be true, but if your subconscious believes that it's not, if your subconscious believes that that's BS, then whenever you read that, you'll be like, nah, no. So you will build even more resistance. So I like to work with subconscious rewiring techniques that really change your relationship with sales from the inside out, because then you really start playing, right? So if from the inside out, you have this belief that selling is something really cool, and then, I always say selling without selling because that's even easier, right? So if you believe that I can just share my product, I can just talk about my product, and people, the right people, will love it. The right people will sign up. The right people will ask me about more of it. So it's really the idea of, can we rewire your subconscious relationship with selling, with also being visibility for your business. The idea is also how much money do you allow yourself to have is another big player. So there are many, many topics that are related to that. So if we rewire that subconscious relationship with it and you allow yourself to have more money, you allow yourself to be visible, you allow yourself to receive clients, then usually your energy will be enough. As you said, you just talk about your business and people will feel you, people will feel your energy, and they'll be like, show me the link. I want to sign up. Send me the link.
Yeah, this is so true. I also see some comments on the chat. Marta, Kelly, thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Really, really appreciate this. But yeah, this is true. But are there any specific techniques, like psychological, not sales techniques, like psychological techniques that you use? Did you like invent them, or you adapted something from the known practices? How does it work?
I like to work with energy psychology because I believe that that's the most effective, most efficient. I'm using different techniques from that. And, I wouldn't say I invented anything new, but I'm combining different energy psychology techniques where I noticed that the combination of those really works the best. And it's but I feel like this is such a short talk. So if we talk about these, then it's hard for people to really grasp it, to understand. But there are so many amazing techniques out there that help you change your subconscious mind, right? And I feel like they all have their place. So if you already have one that works for you, I'm not saying that doesn't work, right? I think the most important thing to begin with is to realize that sales or selling is, I would say, 95% inner work. Effortless selling starts on the inside. It's really inner work. And when you can really be aware of the BS stories you have, then if you have a technique for yourself where you can shift these stories, let go of these stories, that's already very helpful. The techniques I use just work so much faster. That's why I use those, because you can really just, by the use of one keyword, you can release so many stories at once, even the ones you weren't aware of, right? Because your mind doesn't always give you everything, because it's, some things are so given that you're not even aware of them. That's the thing about beliefs, right? They seem so true that why would you question them? So it can be a little bit sticky. And there are techniques out there, the ones I'm using, the ones I'm combining, those are a little bit more thorough, but also a lot more gentle, because then you can just clean out a lot of the nervous system and the subconscious mind at once. But again, there are so many different things out there. And it's always so important to me to tell people, look, if you have a technique that already works for you, go for it. And if you get stuck, call me. But for everything else, be aware that you don't need to have a better sales strategy. You don't need to have the latest trick for the algorithm. You don't need to have the one technique that sells in 2026. To me, that's all BS, because humans are still humans, even in 2026. So to me, it's really all about the subconscious mind.
Yeah. Did you have any clients where you would think that, oh, this technique would work, definitely work, but then you start working with them and this technique doesn't work, then the next one doesn't work, third one doesn't work? So like a complex situation, let's say. Do you have this? How did you work with this?
Honestly, no.
No?
So the cool thing about the techniques is that if they don't work, you work first on why they don't work until they work, and then they work.
So there are also underlying issues that could prevent
100%. So with a subconscious mind also, so with the techniques I'm using that I'm working with in energy psychology, the first thing you do is scanning for resistance. And when you notice that you have unconscious or subconscious resistance, then first what you want to do is clear the resistance. Because, to me, it's never about hype yourself up and motivate yourself to get over the resistance, because that's not sustainable, right? To me, and
Exactly.
it doesn't matter if it's a task you do externally or if it's a task you do internally. If there's resistance, let's work with the resistance first. Let's resolve the resistance, and then the technique usually works. Sometimes, especially with energy psychology, because it seems a little bit strange. Like, why is it so simple? Why does it work? Usually people are like, this is too simple, like that cannot work for me. But then you work with that first, and all of a sudden they notice a shift. So to be honest, no, I haven't anyone. I haven't worked with anyone who it hasn't worked for. Some need 2 or 3 sessions to notice a big difference. That is true. But Yeah. But even if they really feel like, look, this is not for me, then the cool thing is there are so many psychological techniques out there. And I feel like they all have their place, you know? And if someone wants to walk a different route because that resonates more, hey, if that works for you, I'm
Whatever
very
works.
happy.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
definitely. I also liked the advice, or even, I don't know, call to action that I once heard. Somebody told this to me, actually. They told me, don't be greedy. Don't hide your knowledge and expertise from people. When you are not selling, you are not people letting know that you have this, and maybe this would save their lives or make their lives better or easier, whatever. Don't be greedy. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is wonderful. I
I
don't
love
want to be
that.
greedy. I don't want to be a bad person. I want to be a
Yeah.
good person. So I will share. Of course, you all will know what I know.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that one. You know,
So
it's also
change
with
your perception. Yeah.
100%. And sometimes it's so simple, but it sticks, right? Someone once told you and it sticks. It's really cool. I love that one.
Yeah. But how do you work now? So you have your one-on-one clients,
Mhm.
which is great, but I can imagine that your time is limited. I
Yeah.
remember you were talking about the course. So you're building a course to learn to give this information to many more people than
Yes.
only one person. How does it go?
Yeah. I'm working on it. But it's
It's
really
not
also
easy,
it
right?
it is so much fun. But yes, it is so true that this work, I'm very much used to doing this one-on-one. And now I have to really think about, okay, how can I make sure? Because if I give out this information to a group, I mean, I have been doing group sessions also, but I feel if it's a do-it-yourself study course, or if that's really information in a video, then I really, as we said, we don't want to sell just because, right? We're good people, and if we have good information, and we want to make sure that it really, really lands. So maybe I'm a little bit too perfectionist here, but the idea is to really have a really powerful course out there, which is it's probably going to launch within the next 3 or 4 weeks, which is really cool. And then the idea is to make it more accessible, because obviously, as you said, one-on-one can be a little bit more intensive, and when it comes to time and investment. But then the idea is to have more, to have group courses as well. And there will be group cohorts that will be guided, but also do-it-yourself study.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we will post the link to your website so that people can follow and see what's going on. And also LinkedIn page, I think we'll put it in the description to this video so that
Mhm.
everyone can follow you and see what's going on there. But I'm very excited to have you as a member of Ladies Who Talk, and also to that because you share so much whenever you come to our meetups, and you also held this amazing skill sharing session earlier this week, and we are looking forward to like more workshops and
Yeah.
in-depth work. We are lucky to have you there, and that you can also test something new on us while you're building your own thing. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for not being greedy. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, I say that all the time, but I truly mean it. I am so, so happy to be part of the Ladies Who Talk community, because, I love the online world. My whole life is online. All my clients are online, but I feel it is so nice to have these offline connections, to hang out with you guys and just have these chats about life and the world. And it's just really amazing. So thank you too. Huh?
Thank you so much. And thank you for finding the time for being here today. Thank you for everyone who have been watching with us here online, and to everyone who is watching in recording. So see you very soon at our events, and we will have our future streams on YouTube every week, hopefully without delays this time. So stay safe, sun to everyone, blue sky in Lisbon finally. And yeah, have a great rest of the week and see you soon. Thank you, Karina.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Bye bye.